End Government Gang Stalking, the American Stasi, Jeffersonian Democracy with Bernie Sanders for America. The Church Committee, the Senate committee that investigated COINTELPRO, said COINTELPRO threatened our democratic way of life. Well, they should have seen government gang stalking, started by the Neocon Authoritarian Fascists in the Bush-Cheney White House, which is destroying our democratic way of life. The Neocon Authoritarian Fascists are the first to wave flags in front of their homes. They yell the loudest when our politicians don't wear flag pins. Fascism is all about hyper-nationalism. Their leader, Dick Cheney, pretended he wanted to spread democracy around the world. But these government gang stalking cretins know nothing of what real democracy is. There was another Republican Party, once founded by Thomas Jefferson, who could teach them the meaning of the word they pretend to pay homage to, but really destroy. The democracy of Thomas Jefferson was opposed to aristocracy in any form. The Republican Party that is dominated by the Neocon Authoritarian Fascists are staunch supporters of elite corporate rule. Jeffersonian democracy fought corruption. The Neocon Authoritarian Fascists embody it and hide it with the state secrets doctrine. Jeffersonian democracy insisted on virtue. The Neocon Authoritarian Fascists stand for the evil of continuous war, the embrace of torture, both psychological and physical, are responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of people in the Iraq War they took America into on their lies, and the gang stalking of ordinary American citizens 24/7 for years. Jeffersonian democracy stood for equal rights for all citizens. The Neocon Authoritarian Fascists stand for cronyism. Mess with one of the good old boys, Neocon Authoritarian Fascist network, and you find yourself gang-stalked everywhere you go by their right-wing extremist, expanded neighborhood watch group gang-stalking hordes. Jeffersonian democracy represented plain folk. The Neocon Authoritarian Fascists represent the moneyed corporate elite among us. Jeffersonian democracy was taken up by the Democratic Party in the earliest 20th century, and we all know today the corporate Democratic Party, like the corporate Republican Party dominated by the Neocon Authoritarian Fascists, has prostituted the ideas of Jeffersonian democracy. It is time for the people to rise up in support of Bernie Sanders for president and to once again champion Jeffersonian democracy in America. We need popular vote in presidential elections. No more Bush-Gore hanky-panky, which allowed the Neocon Authoritarian Fascists to come to power. Following the election of Bernie Sanders, we need Jeffersonian Democrats in our Congress and across our country in our state legislatures. We need an end to corporatism, an end to the continuous wars in which millions of dollars go missing, and a financially strong government based on tax reform that makes the wealthiest pay their fair share. Jefferson's election was called the Revolution of 1800. We need the new revolution of 2016 to revive the virtues of Jeffersonian democracy in America. We must start today to build a national movement dedicated to the revival of Jeffersonian democracy under the leadership of Bernie Sanders. These are the core values of Jeffersonian democracy. We all have the duty to facilitate the end of state corruption. We all have the duty to vote, to get involved to save America. Let the election of 2016 shake the land with the thunder of angry voters going to the polls to take back our government from the gang-stalking Neocon Authoritarian Fascists. The civic virtue of ordinary citizens must once again become predominant in America, not the cesspools of corruption dominated by financiers, bankers, and international corporations. The national government, and this is a quote from Wikipedia on Jeffersonian democracy, the national government is a dangerous necessity to be instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation, or community. It should be watched closely and circumscribed in its powers. That's a quote. Government gang stalking arose from the lack of oversight of our vast intelligence industrial complex. Where there is power in a land dominated by the principles of Jeffersonian democracy, there must be oversight. There must be separation of church and state. This is a quote from Jeffersonian democracy in Wikipedia. The federal government must not violate the rights of individuals. The Bill of Rights is a central theme of Jeffersonian democracy. The federal government must not violate the rights of the states. A quote from Jeffersonian democracy in Wikipedia. Another quote, all men had the right to be informed and thus to have a say in government. The protection and expansion of human liberty was one of the chief goals of the Jeffersonians. They also reformed their respective state systems of education. They believed that their citizens had a right to an education, no matter their circumstance or status in life. It is the rule of law that America has to offer the world as a model of justice. The Neocon Authoritarian Fascists plunged the world into chaos when, after 9/11, they didn't bring the criminals of 9/11 into our courts, but rather started a preemptive war in which scores of innocent people lost their lives. That was the beginning of the end of civilized world order. The time is now to overthrow our current corrupt government at the polls, which is suffused with neocon authoritarian fascist values, and to revive the values of Jeffersonian democracy in America. No more government gang stalking. No more Stasi in America. Bernie Sanders for president. Jeffersonian democracy for America.